In this session, we're going to be working on decreasing muscle tissue tension and connective tissue tension like fascial tissue. We're looking to decrease the sympathetic nervous system and leave you feeling good. We're going to start by working on the lats. So we're going to be getting down onto our side here. I like to use the foam roller to start with that. And then once I get up into the shoulder and more into rotator cuff, you can switch to the ball, but you can use the ball for the whole thing if you want. So we'll come down onto the side, lats attaching into the top of the hip bone and then up crossing the shoulder and attaching into the humerus, kind of around where pecs is attaching, close up to the head. So we'll come down here. I like to start a little bit lower and then work up towards the shoulder. So just a little bit lower into the ribs here. Sink in, whatever side you want to start on. You might know that you have some stuff going on one shoulder, so want to pay that a little bit of attention. So you can start on whatever side that might be. But we always want to check in on the other side. Compensation is always the thing if you have stuff going on. So just kind of sinking in here, breathing, shutting out everything else, coming into your body. Lats will come up a little bit more to the front, up near the shoulder, but if you rotate the body, chest down a little bit more, you'll kind of roll off the lats and onto the ribs, maybe onto serratus anterior, which is a stabilizer muscle of the shoulder blade, the scapula. So that's a good place to work as well. Some movement here is some reaching. So you can reach along the floor, up above your head. That will lengthen lats as you work. If you're into a little bit more serratus, you can have your arm kind of parallel with the foam roller and projection of the shoulder forward. So pressing forward here. Protraction. Projection, same diff. And then retraction. But you can just kind of play around with that, slowly kind of rolling on it, using your intuition, listening to your body, a little press of the shoulder away from the ear to stabilize it in a better position. And then you can get into some reaching here, and slowly I'm moving up, just inch by inch up towards the shoulder. Breathing, starting to get a little bit spicy up in here, up in here, up in here. And just breathing. Take some time there. You could do some windshield wipers, some internal and external rotation. Lats is also going to internally rotate the humerus, the upper arm bone. So you can get moving. There's multiple movements that you can do to get movement out of the same muscle tissue. So whatever you find kind of brings up the sensation that you need underneath to know you're in the right spot, doing the right thing. And then as you get up a little bit higher, you start to feel yourself come onto the shoulder blade, the scapula a bit there. Slowly coming up, you can do some more internal external rotation. If you bring the chest down, you'll feel yourself kind of come off the side of the shoulder blade a little bit more, and you might get a little bit more into that serratus anterior on the ribs. You might be able to feel the ribs there. And then as you get up to the shoulder blade level, if you rotate the chest up towards the ceiling, you'll come over and onto the shoulder blade, and then we'll be getting into some of the rotator cuff muscles, teres major and teres minor. Teres major isn't technically a rotator cuff, but it mirrors teres minor oppositely, and they do opposite rotation, and they'll also stabilize the shoulder down in the shoulder joint, the glenohumeral fossa, in an overhead reach kind of movement. So a great muscle to work on as well. and very integral to shoulder stability, rotation. So some internal and external rotation is probably going to be what you want there, but some reaching will bring on some of that same movement or the same sensation, some lengthening of that tissue. And just breathing, remembering to kind of stabilize the shoulder a little bit down towards the roller. Can you kind of hang your head, maybe get a neck stretch here at the same time. No killing birds with stones. We're not here to kill birds, but we're here to roll, so we'll just do that. Breathing. And then you can start to feel yourself coming up to the arm bone here, the humerus. You can feel that connection. So now you're getting into the joint capsule, the ligament tissue, and up into the rotator cuff a little bit more, up into infraspinatus, which is just below the spine of the scapula. That's going to do external rotation and stabilizing. All the rotator cuff muscles, they do rotation, but their main focus is to stabilize the shoulder, the humeral head in the center of the glenohumeral fossa, as it goes through dynamic movement. There's longer muscles that have further attachment points that are much better at doing these bigger, grander, dynamic, fast movements than the rotator cuff. They'll also slow down, and then they create tension by sucking these bones together to create stability. You know, the more tension we have between those joints, the more stability we're gonna have, more friction. Which is why after an injury, joint mobility can be limited there because a lot of the rotator cuff muscles get tight as a protective measure. Nice. You can use the ball here as well. I might as well just keep going with the foam roller because we're here. Adjusting this as you need. Coming way back onto the back of the shoulder blade. Excellent, and then we'll do that same line on the other side. So we'll come over to the other side. You can kind of shake things out a little bit there. And then same thing, you can start lower, you can start up at the top and then come down lower a little bit later. Yowza. There's some reaching you can do here, just some breathing. Flaring the ribs, opening them up. That'll get serratus anterior moving and create space in between the ribs. You won't necessarily be able to get into the muscles in between the ribs, but and then just breathing here, slowly moving. Use your intuition, sink in if you need. Like here, I feel like I need to sink in a bit and wait. Breathe. Come down, bring yourself into your body. What are you feeling? What does that tell you? Listen to your body. It's a crazy concept. Let's try it out. Maybe some protraction here, retraction. You can, oh my God. Praise the Lord. Rotating chest down a little bit more to get into serratus anterior. Be kind to yourself, you know. Take the time here. We're not rushing through it to get through it. We're taking the time out of the week to care for your body. And if you're like, Mike, I don't need to work on the shoulder, you can work somewhere else and just listen to my sultry voice and just relax. Take your time. Breathe. Working up towards the shoulder. As you start to get to that shoulder blade, even before that, you can do some internal, external rotation. You're not going to be on the rotator cuff necessarily, or on major rotators. The lats isn't necessarily a major rotator. Definitely can do a lot of internal rotation. Pitchers would use that a lot, all along with pec, and in many other sports as well, and in daily life. You don't have to be just an athlete to take care of your body. You can just be a regular old you, which is fantastic. As you start to get up to that shoulder, you can try some coming down more into the armpit, or there's not going to be probably too much there unless you're at the top of serratus anterior. Coming back onto the shoulder blade is kind of where we want to be, with some internal and external rotation. You can do some reaching as well, always kind of anchoring away from the ear. Breathing. Get right up to kind of where you feel the shoulder joint. You're almost coming over onto the humerus a bit. You'll be getting into tricep attachment, the long head of tricep, attaching into the bottom of the glenohumeral fossa. The shoulder joint. Yeah. Take your time as you need. When you're ready, you can come out. You can check in side to side. How does that feel? Try some rotation. What's going on there? What's happening? I don't know. Pecs. So coming into the pec muscles, crossing the shoulder, there's a lot of work there. And then we're going to get right into the front of the rotator cuff muscles, subscapularis attaching around the same area, just a little bit higher up. What else are we getting there? A little bicep tendon, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So we'll come down onto your stomach. Start just underneath the collarbone. There's lots of work right there to be done. A slippery guy. Wore a Teflon shirt today. And then you want to be just right underneath that collarbone. So you're kind of pressing into the bottom aspect of the clavicle. Can have that same arm that you're working out just out to the side. That's going to bring a little bit of length, a little bit of stretch to pec as you're working through there. And then here I'm kind of rotating that shoulder into the floor as I rotate away, using my other hand, my right hand in this instance, as I'm working on my left shoulder. Kind of press into the ground and rotate myself a little bit. And just breathing here. You can come on a little bit more to the lower pec. I find there's, everybody uses their body differently, so you might be feeling it differently in these muscles than me, in a little bit different spot, which is great. You do you, And then you're slowly moving the body oppositely to move the ball out more towards the shoulder. And you'll feel as you come into the shoulder, crossing that joint, kind of the head there. You can really get a sense of that with the shoulder. It's a very shallow joint, which is why its mobility has such a wide range of mobility, but also why it's susceptible to injury. So you can really feel as you cross into the ball of the head of the humerus there. And then you'll be getting to the bicep tendons crossing across there, pec attachment we're getting into as you come a little bit more down. And we can follow this line all the way down into bicep a little bit. You can do some reaching of that arm. You can do some rotation, internal rotation, pressing the hand a little bit into the floor and then externally rotating. There's not a lot there. Up towards the ceiling. If you're feeling bicep a lot, you can follow that down more. This is like exploration of your own body. What are you feeling? Where do you need to work? Keep your mind open to work anywhere and try anything to kind of get into the areas where you're feeling like you need to do the work that you need to do to decrease that tension, to decrease discomfort, decrease friction in the joint, increase range of motion. Very valuable things to do. I find the older that I get, the more I hold on to tension after doing strenuous workouts or lots of activity, building the house and the studio and mouse work or desk stuff. It's not like an Etch-a-Sketch when you were a kid where you could just shake it and you're like, oh, you wake up the next day and it's done. It's fixed. It's all clear. Brand new. Excellent. If you need to keep working there, please do. We're going to switch sides. Shake it out, see how that feels. We did the front, the anterior, and the posterior aspect of the shoulder. We have one more rotator cuff muscle to get through in a little bit, but see how that feels? Feeling a little bit better? A little bit more space, less tension. All good stuff. Maybe increase blood flow as well as you decrease the connective tissue tension, the fascial tension, and muscle tension. Fluid can flow through those tissues better. So that's a huge part of recovery. On that note, don't forget to drink your water. Stay hydrated. Virtue Healthcare. And then just kind of working in where you want. Search around the tissue of the pecs. Definitely check in with that inferior aspect, just like underneath the underside of the collarbone, your clavicle. You can have that same hand out and the other hand down on the floor. Breathing, taking your time. Oh man, it's a gooder. Use your intuition. Take a second wherever you need and breathe. You can do some reaching here, wherever you want, kind of you got the whole range of motion. See what that feels like. Just whenever you do use movement, just move slow, take your time. That way you can listen to the tissue as it's moving and you'll get a better idea of where you might need to stop or just what the heck's going on there, Take the time to listen. good for you for taking the time to work on your body. It's so important to carve out that time. We carve out most of our time for doing these other things that we're passionate about, but quite often we don't carve out enough time to take care of ourselves. So good for you. Working right across the shoulder joint, coming down a little bit into bicep, down the front there if you want. Oh man. Listening as you move, just creeping with those movements. Oh man. You can try some rotation of the forearm and the arm as well, the humerus. So kind of just rotating your thumb down to the ground. You might feel bicep a little bit better there perhaps, or you're going to bring that subscapularis, the front aspect of the rotator cuff, into more rotation. So that could be good as well. Breathe in. Oh, man. We'll be getting into deltoid here as well, the superficial shoulder muscle. We're working through many layers of muscle tissue as we work here. You're not just working on just one muscle. You're working through 1, 2, 3, 4 muscles at once, into pec, through bicep, through deltoid, and catching the edge of subscapularis as well. It's a complex joint, complex problems. Take your time. If you need more time with that, take it. Check in. Maybe a little bit of shoulder circles here. We're going to work through one more aspect, which is supraspinatus, as it attaches into the topmost rotator cuff muscle, the last rotator cuff muscle that we haven't got through yet. So we worked on infraspinatus, teres minor, subscapularis, and then supraspinatus on top of the spine of the scapula. So it kind of runs along this upper shoulder underneath traps. Just above, you can feel the aspect of the spine of your shoulder blade here. So just above into that. But we're going to get it as it comes out underneath the acromion process. So as the spine goes along, it comes around onto the shelf of a bone here. That's the acromion process. We're going to be just off the edge of that. So you could take your roller or your ball. We're going to come down onto your side, and we're just going to get the ball just into the side of the shoulder here. If that's a bit too much, you can obviously use your roller. here. That might be a little bit more acceptable. And then you can use your hand to kind of help you position that. But you're just underneath that. You're getting through delt here as well, the more superficial shoulder muscle. And then just some rotation here. You can do some reaching, a flexion of the shoulder, an extension of the shoulder to kind of move, do these cross fiber frictions, as we used to call it in the biz. So that can feel really good here. It might have been supraspinatus, might have been the muscle that I dealt with the most as a registered massage therapist, outside of maybe some neck muscles. Just due to its positioning and overhead movement, it gets quite compromised and there can be impingement, some pinching of it. And you can either get subacromial bursitis, which is a bursa sac in between it and the acromion process that I was mentioning. Some inflammation of that or tearing of that muscle in itself. I tore supraspinatus once before. Not major tear, but it was like 6 months till I could like push overhead with weight again. I tore it doing snatches, Olympic lifting. So spend as much time as you need here, breathing. There might be a lot here for you. You can do some rotation of the torso down to get a little bit more into the front side or the back side of it here. And just listen to that. Spend as much time as you need there. Can shake things out a little bit, and then we'll check in with the other side. And you can do all of these on the wall as well. Coming into just underneath that bone here. So you can kind of feel the collarbone come up and then you kind of fall off the collarbone and then you feel another bone a step down slightly. That's the acromion process. And then we just want to be off the side of that. Oh man. Wherever you want this hand, here or down here. I really like the flexion and extension of the shoulder, just dragging the forearm across, pulling the elbow back underneath you a bit, and then reaching the elbow forward. And the fingers at the same time. You can rotate the chest down slightly to get just into the front side. Not the front, but the front side, you know what I mean? And just take your time, spending more time wherever you need it. You don't have to follow along at my speed necessarily. And then you can check into the kind of back side aspect of that. Nice. And come out. Shake things out a little bit. Test out those new shoulders. Maybe some little neck circles here. How does that feel? Great job. Hopefully that helped. Grab some water, chill out, take some time for yourself, and then we'll see you next time.